Do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. All right, what's going on, everybody? Hey, got an amazing show for you, but it's Baby Friday night's Eve. Goddamn, it's almost the weekend. Hey, I got an amazing guest today, but let's get all the pleasantries out of the way before we even kick it. Hey, look, when was the last time that you took a look at your finances and see where you're at? Or let me ask you this, better yet, in the event that God forbid something were to happen to you, you're not a retiree, you're a veteran, what things have you implemented to take care of your family that is going to set you apart and prevent them from having to put a link on social media, like a GoFundMe or a Venmo link, because you passed away, unfortunately, unexpectedly, and now they have to put out on social media so people can help them out and get the word out and raise some money. What would you do then? Right? So if you're in that type of situation, this is where I come in. This is like where I can put some financial strategies for you, help you look at the bigger picture and see how we can help your family. Because at the end of the day, the last thing you want to do is, not have things implemented, and then it's your loved ones that are the ones who suffer the consequences of the fact that you didn't implement those things. So if this resonates with you, give me a call, give me a shout out here on the show. I'm also putting the show out here on TikTok as well. So, and let's have a talk. Let me show you what how we help families out there. And if it makes sense, great. If not, that's okay too. I mean, at the end of the day, if it's not a priority, that's no big deal. It's just in the end of the day, your family is the ones who suffers. Okay. Also, when was the last time that you took a hard look and see where you're at on your VA claims and benefits? I've been helping several vets, getting them from zero to nothing, from nothing to zero, because zero is still it's still a disability rating, but getting them from 20 to 50% to 70. I've gotten a few to 100. Not a promise, but I show you how to fish. Because look, the PAC Act is some great, it's one of the good things that the last administration did, regardless, not politics, just on that aspect only. And then there's a good article that I just put a TikTok out as far as on the Toxic Exposure Act, the Terra Act, that there's some things coming out that if you're exposed to chemicals, which is one of the topics that we're going to talk about today as well, is that it pretty much, those exposures, the effects on them on your brain, it's like having a TBI. So this can, it was an article put out by the Disabled American Veterans Magazine, and it's right here on my TikTok. So go ahead and check it out, and maybe this can help your case. Maybe that'll be the last thing that you need, so you get 100%. I don't know, but I can help you with that as well. So don't delay, put your claim today. All right. So I think that's all the pleasantries out of the way. Let's the other thing is look, if you want to be in the podcast game, reach out to Brian Colburn right here at sitradio.com. Podcasting is an amazing thing. My guest and his counterpart as well, they've been doing some amazing things. So if you support the Constitution, whether you're left, on the right, or in the middle, whatever the case may be, but you believe that, hey, I have the right to bear arms, express myself, speech and everything else, like, subscribe, and follow. And if you disagree, that's okay too. We can agree to disagree, because, hey, that's what we do. At least we're talking, right? So, but check out sitradio.com, talk to Brian Colburn, hit him up. All right. So I think that's pretty much it for the pleasantries. Hey, look, my guest today is an amazing individual. In the Marine Corps, the rank of E7, I think it's E5 and E7. So the sergeant and the gunnery sergeant, or the gunny, it's the two most amazing ranks in my opinion. Not to take away from my fellow warrant officers, but look, the bottom line is, hey, if you have a shit hot sergeant, that's good shit. But nobody fucks with the gunny. If you have an issue or whatever the case may be, hey, you know what? Go ahead and talk to gunny. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those ranks that, being a gunny is just being a badass. So my next guest, his name is Samuel Deeds. This dude has been there, done that, got the T-shirt, among other things. He's got a pretty cool story. He's jumped out of airplanes. I mean, the guy's a friggin' badass. So I'll let him talk all about it. But let's bring Gunnery Sergeant Samuel Deeds, retired, to the show. What's going on, big dog? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? A little tired, a little jet lagged. It should be midnight my time right now. I'm back on the East Coast now. Just spent a few days over in Africa. So yeah, that jet lag gets you a little bit.
Yeah, I as I've gotten, more seasoned, I don't want to say older, but as I've gotten more seasoned, going there is not a big deal. And it's like, okay, good, roger that, let's go. But coming back, it's like I'm out of commission for like a good solid week nowadays. Before I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, let's party, let's go, whatever. That ain't the case anymore, dog. What were you doing in Africa?
I got back at the house probably 9:40 East Coast time last night. And I want to say I didn't go to bed till after midnight. And I was still awake at 5 o'clock in the morning, because it's, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock where I was in Africa. And it's like, oh, man, yeah, this is the way my day is going to be. But no, we had a great trip. I mean, we were busy. We were up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, up at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we got 4 or 5 hours sleep every single day just because of the constant moving of what we were doing over there. And I wish I could talk about it a little bit more, but we were supposed to do a tandem for a VIP, a high profile VIP, and weather got to us, and then just government. Senegal won the Afro Cup, right? So it's like Monday, the entire government shut down, so nobody was approving anything, and then finally late Monday it got approved, and we just got crunched up with time. We can't jump after dark for tandem skydives, so it's like. Even in Africa, we still have to apply by the USPA guidelines for the United States Parachute Association. So I hate it for the client, but hopefully we can get it done for him back here in the States.
That's awesome, dude. So what do you want? Gunny. Fuck it. We'll go with Gunny because that's a Gunny. So tell us, obviously you were in the Marine Corps. Just tell us a little bit about your Marine Corps career, MOS, where you serve, kind of, so to speak.
And it's crazy, man. I had a unique career, if you will.
Okay.
I started off as a 0311 infantryman.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to do from day one. I walked into the recruiting office and said, "This is what I want," and they're like, "We don't have it." I'm like, "How does the Marine Corps not have any infantry?" And at the time, I mean, being 18, 19, I didn't understand that, right? I was clueless to what was going on. And then I was like, I'll go across the office. I'll get a bonus. I mean, I may not like it as much, but at least I'll have some extra money.
What did you score? But what did you score on you? Because I'm curious. What did you score on your last?
AFQT 63.
Okay, yeah, because usually the kids that score really high, it's like, Simon, I just want to be 03 hump a lot. Either you get me in or I'm out. And it's like, what the fuck? You can have any job, bro.
Yeah, my line scores were good across the board.
Right.
I could have pretty much done anything. I mean, there's a few things I think I was limited to, but having that AFQT, the Armed Forces Qualification Test score of a 63, that just opened up a lot of doors. And then, when I say the line scores, for people that don't know, when you take your Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery test, it's mechanical, it's your mathematics, it's electrical. I mean, there's so many different tests that you take for your aptitude, and it basically lines up what you would do in the civilian sector. It gives you a good idea. And then once you sit down with your recruiter, every single job field has certain criteria. So like you have your CL, which is your clerical stuff or your administration and stuff like that. So you have to be high there. You have to be high in your mathematics. It's nuts. But yeah, I didn't understand that at first, right? So they made a few phone calls and switched an aviation's job for an infantry job with a different district. And I ended up as an 03, which was great. Went to boot camp in June of 97. So dating myself a little bit, coming up on that 30 years next year. But boot camp at Parison, South Carolina, and then to Camp Geiger for infantry training. And then from Camp Geiger directly to Camp Lejeune with 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. While I was with 2-8, we deployed to Okinawa, Japan, Pohang, South Korea, Port-au-Prince, Haiti for humanitarian support. We were the security element for the Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and the Coast Guard, their medics and stuff like that to do the humanitarian aid piece. And then, a couple stints to Bridgeport for cold weather training, cold weather operations, couple stints to 29 Palms, California for the combined arms exercise and desert training. And then I wasn't going to re-enlist. I was like, I think I'm going to be done. Yeah. And then I had a company Gunny. I was a corporal at the time. I had a company Gunny. He's like, how about you just stay for the float? How about you extend and stay for the float? So I was like, okay, I'll do that for you. And I went upstairs to see the sergeant major. And in so many terms, he said, F you have orders to LAR, have fun. So I went over to 2nd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion.
Okay.
I was going to get out, and then I did. I had a blast over there. It's so crazy going from the straight leg infantry to a mechanized infantry. And a lot of the 03s that do that are coming from security forces or are coming from 8th and I. They never had any operational experience. They're always, guard duty or ceremonial duty or something like that. So when I came over, a lot of the senior leadership thought that that's where I was coming from and that I was going to be a pushover. And I looked at our XO. I was like, hey, these guys don't need to be scrubbing rust on the light armored vehicles. They need to be training for their job. And he goes, put together a training schedule. So I sat down over the weekend, put together a training schedule, called range control Monday morning, got ranges locked on. And I went back to him. I ordered chow. I had chow ordered for all of us. And I went back to the XO. I was like, here's the training plan. Here's the ranges. Here's the chow. I need your signature and I need a range safety officer. And he just looked at me like, where are you coming from? I was like, 2-8, right up the street. He's like, oh, we thought you were coming from, security forces. I was like, nah, dude, I've been doing this for 3.5 years. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I had so much fun that I re-enlisted and somehow got selected for recruiting duty. Spent 3 years on recruit duty in recruiting station Louisville. And then I spent 7 months of that at recruiting substation Fairfield, Ohio, which is northwest of Cincinnati. I was there for 7 months and then got transferred down to Florence, Kentucky. So just right across the river from Cincinnati. And I finished my tour there. Then I realized that there's a shipping goal, right, for every single month, for every MOS of where when the school opens, you have to ship here to go to boot camp to make this school seat. And that's when I realized that infantry does close, right? There are certain months that you may not be able to ship to boot camp because they've already filled their quotas for infantry for that month. And even across, in one recruiting station, there might be 11 substations. So within the district, there might be 8, 10, 12 recruiting stations with, 8, 10, 12 substations underneath them. So there's a lot of, guys and gals out there on the streets trying to recruit qualified young men and women for the Marine Corps to fill the role. Did that for 3 years and then rotated right back to operational forces, ended up with 3rd Battalion, 8th Marines. I was there for, 10 days, 12 days. And the battalion had already been deployed to Haiti. And I was told when I checked in, yeah, you're going to stay here. You're going to get the battalion area ready for when they come home. I come back to work on that Monday and they're like, hey, you're picking up this group of guys from SOI, and then you're deploying next week. So you pick them up on Friday, you're deploying Monday. So I picked them up in the morning from School of Infantry, got them back, had to get their shots, had to get their gear, had to get everything for us to deploy, I think on Wednesday, Wednesday, to go to Haiti. And I'm like, I thought I was staying here. They're like, well, you've been there before. I'm like, do you know, I've been gone for 3 years. Do you know how much changes in 3 years? I mean, how much changes happened at Camp Lejeune? They're like, it's a third world country. It's not that bad. I'm going to tell you, from when I was there in 99 to when I went in 05, so much change. It's ridiculous. 5 years. I mean, so much has changed. I was like, this is crazy. This is unbelievable. Half the stuff.
Buddy of mine who was in that whole thing in Haiti. I mean, when it was bad. Yeah. Actually, he ended up picking up warrant officer. He worked for me. I wrote him a badass fit rip. The guy was a workhorse, but yeah, he had some stories when you guys were over there. So, when did you end up retiring? Or I guess you were pushed out and stuff. Because I also want to get to, you know, the stuff that you currently. I don't want to let the kitty out of the bag because I want to.
Yeah. So, deployed to Iraq in 05 with 3.8, and I got injured. Okay. Came back, and a year later I was told, you know, you can't be in the infantry anymore, but if you want to stay in, you can stay in. So I re-enlisted with a lateral move option, and I went and worked on the V-22 for 5 years. So 2011 I got medically retired. I had somewhere around 30 surgeries at the time, mostly internal, and I think all but 1 or 2 of them I was either heavily sedated or knocked out. And medically retired in 11, came home, drew unemployment for a little bit because it took 2 years for my med board to come back. And when it came back quick, and I had nothing lined up. And the good thing is I already had a VA rating when I retired, and I already had the rating from the Navy and the Marine Corps when I retired. But it wasn't where it should have been. In a lot of people's eyes. And then I got a security job working at DHL. I was loving it until it was in 2011-12. So July 4th, 2012, I got written up for giving somebody a threatening look.
When I got out, so I'm a PSEPper. I got out after my first enlistment, and I came back in. So I worked in the repro graphics room. I was just telling this story today at one of the cigar lounges at that networking event I was at. Anyway, so being the jarhead, hoorah, get some Marine that I am, I would hand out the mail, hoorah. I wouldn't say hoorah. I would say, have an amazing morning. Motivate, blah blah. Very in the greeting of the day. I got out as a corporal the first time, dude. So about maybe a month into it, my supervisor Renee, hey Pacho, just want to tell you that some of the people up in the offices have said that you're very uptight, you're very serious, and you don't say anything to them. I'm like, what do you mean? I say the greeting of the day. I say the greeting of the day. Have a good morning, blah, 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 whatever. She goes, well, just, work on that just for the next 2 weeks. If not, we're going to have to do that. I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Bro, corporate world, civilian life is...
serving 14 plus years in the Marine Corps, and then getting out and dealing with the corporate situation. It's like, it's another culture shock. Right.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Boot camp's a culture shock. And then once you get out of boot camp, everything's more laid back. There's still intense situations, but everything's way more laid back. You get your weekends off, you get holidays, you get leave, all this stuff. You get back to corporate America, and there are people. It's really tooth and nail, fighting their way to the top, and any little thing. But this dude, went to our supervisor, and he's like, he gave me a threatening look, and I got written up, and I called home. I'm like, do I need this job? She's like, we're going to struggle for a little bit, but we'll be fine. So I walked. I walked right
Nice.
out the door, and they're like, "Hey, we need a written statement on why." I'm like, "Actually, according to the DA, I was working for Allied Barton, which is now Allied Universal.
Okay.
According to Allied Barton handbook, on this page, this chapter, I don't have to." And I cited it word for word.
Hoorah, Marine Corps,
They
you
just
cited the
looked at me.
fucking
Yeah,
manual.
they just looked at me. They're like, "Oh my, you read that?" I was like, "Yeah, I read that. Yeah, for sure." So that's it. I walked, and then I sat at home for a couple years and let post traumatic stress control me, like really control me. And my wife's
Yeah.
like, "You got to do something."
Yeah.
And then she contacted an organization that no longer exists. That their sole focus was post traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, and the awareness and combativeness of veteran suicide. And I got to be a spokesperson for them for about a year and did some amazing things. We raised a lot of money at Barrett Jackson. I was able to do Ron White's Calamity Salute to the Troops and, talk about my life events and my story with post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury and everything I'd went through and what had helped in those dark times for me.
Right.
And then I had a father of a kid that I served with who didn't make it home. Taylor Przinski, he was killed 2 months after I was injured. And he was one of the guys I picked up from the School of Infantry and deployed to Haiti with us. And he presented this opportunity. There's a professional skydive team in Middletown, Ohio, who was hosting what they call it Team Fast Tracks Warrior Weekend to Remember. So Team Fast Tracks is the professional skydive team. And they had, I think there were 17 or 18 Purple Heart recipients, and then the one Gold Star father. And it just being around those guys and girls of like-mindedness, and able to open up, because I know that they went through similar things that I did, and it made me feel better. So I started talking about my life events more and more and more and everything I had experienced, and it really made me feel better. And then one day I had a kid reach out to me who he hung himself, and his wife found him, got him resuscitated. And, he's like, if Gunny can get up there in front of millions of people at Barrett Jackson and tell his story, I can do it. So that following year he did it, and he raised even more money than we did. They raised, I think, 6.2 million on the thing that they were auctioning off. Probably a week, 2 weeks after Warrior Weekend, the professional skydive team was jumping at a local baseball game here. And one guy got too close to the other, lost air off his canopy, fell about 20 feet, and ended up breaking his back. And all I could hear is the rumblings from the organizers of the baseball game saying, "This is going to take forever." So I jumped over the fence and picked up their gear and got it to their vehicle while they were getting their injured teammate off the field. And then a week later, the owner of the skydive team says, "Put in an application." I'm like, not happening. And then they invited me out to be, the guest of honor for a NASCAR race at Kentucky Speedway, University of Cincinnati football games, the Marine Corps Marathon. And then finally came the Military Bowl at the end of December. And I walked in the team room, and the boss threw me one of the team hats. He goes, "You're on the team. Just get what you need." And now I'm going into my 13th season. Been doing this for 12 years now, traveling the world. And I don't jump myself, but the guys and gals that represent Team Fast Tracks, the jumpers, jump with huge American flags, everything from 275 square foot American flag to an 8,000 square foot American flag, with smoke, with pyrotechnics, and we jump all over the world. Like I said, we just got back from Africa, getting ready to go to Marine Corps Air Station Iwakuni in May, and then we jump all over the states for college sports, pro sports, to include IndyCar, NASCAR. I mean, it's just an amazing. And then I've got my hands in a ton of other things, nonprofits and fund generators for nonprofits. And then, of course, I'm the co-host of the HomeFront Sitrep podcast with my buddy David Willis on Sundays and Mondays.
Yeah, which he'll be on the show here next week. So in your case, the Gunny has literally been there, done that, right? No pun
Yeah, I
intended.
mean, it's one of those things when you say that, I have, and I've got to experience so much. I got to experience the ground side, and then I got to experience the air wing side. And, we all joke on the ground side, swinging with the wing.
Yeah,
And nobody realizes how much work these guys and girls are putting into the aircraft just to keep it flying, to support the ground elements. And, I gained a much greater appreciation for that, being over there for the 5 years that I was there.
That's amazing. So, so you've been there, done that, and everything else. So, what is Homefront? Because I know, so we don't give too much on for next week's show because I know Dave is going to talk about it. But so how did you get associated with Homefront, and just a little bit of what they do for our community as well as service members, if anything?
Man, it's crazy. Willis and I met at boot camp. I'm from Maine originally. He's from here in Kentucky. I met my wife on recruit duty. That's why I'm in Kentucky. But we served for probably the first 3.5 years together. And then he went his way, I went mine. And then Facebook brought us back together, and we communicated, a little bit back and forth here and there. And then finally he goes, "Hey, I host a podcast. You want to come on as a guest?" So I was a guest on his show a couple times. And then he's like, "Hey, I need a co-host. My co-host is out ill. You mind filling in?" So I was a fill-in co-host for probably 6 or 8 months. And then finally, I don't know how it happened, but now I am the regular co-host. But our main mission on HomeFront Sitrep is to highlight veterans, right? Or organizations that are supporting veterans. And it doesn't matter if you're a civilian running a veteran supported organization or what. We love to highlight, especially the mom and pops, those grassroots nonprofits that are out there, might be on the struggle bus, but are doing great things, or host 3 or 4 events a year in, we'll just say, Wyoming, but nobody's aware of it. And a lot of people that go to events like that kind of try to hold it close to them because they think that it's theirs and only theirs. But we can't help our brothers and sisters heal by holding it. We have to share the wealth. We have to share that information. Yeah. So our goal is to have the veteran singer-songwriters, the veteran comedians, the veteran business owners, the organizations that are doing things for veterans come on, talk about what they do, how they started, help raise them funds, help get them more, visual in the world of the veteran community.
Yeah. As I've gotten, over the years, I hate to say it, but sometimes our community tends to be its own worst enemy. Like we tend to kind of hoard knowledge or just not point each other on the right direction, so to speak. And that was one of the reasons why I got into this whole, media, this whole outreach media stuff, I guess you can say, because when I was getting ready to get out, when I was retiring from the Marine Corps, it was a pain in the ass, to say the least. And it was just, good on the DOD, because I was just in Camp Pendleton a few months back, and they've done a lot of stuff with the the TRS and transitioning programs and whatever. Yeah. But they still got miles to go. So I was kind of feeling my way of information. It's like, wait a minute. So I was like, as I learned over the years, I put this knowledge together. I was like, man, this has to be shared. And so I became kind of like this connect the dots, so to speak. And that's how I got connected, with Dave, with you now, because we got to be able to help each other out and pass this information and point ourselves in the right direction. Because I mean, at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, corporate world, they'll give you this line, "Oh, we support our military. We love you guys." But the moment you start telling them, "Hey, I need to take some time off to go to a VA appointment or whatever there else," they'll be within a week, "Hey, you need to start taking PTO or sick days and this other bullshit." So pretty much there goes all their support for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I learned kind of early on
Yeah.
that support for the veterans to get, to hire veterans is all about the pay cut they're going to get for saying that they have so many veterans on their payroll,
Yeah.
right? You as the veteran, no one's going to care and look out for you more than yourself.
100%.
I've heard it so many times. I only did 4 years. I didn't serve in combat. I
Yeah.
didn't do this. I
I
don't
hate that.
deserve. I don't deserve. I'm not worthy. Blah blah blah. You know what? There is a stack of papers about that thick for your contract,
Yeah.
and you knew maybe at some time within your 4 or 40 years that there was the possibility of deploying to a combat zone or a hot zone. You
Yeah.
don't get to pick and choose when this
You
stuff
don't.
happens.
100%.
Whether you served in combat or you didn't, whether you served in the infantry or you didn't, you still served. You're still part of less than 7% of the entire U.S. population that put
100%.
on the uniform. You're worthy to do a lot of these veteran things. Some of the veteran things are specific to Purple Hearts or specific to Gold Star families. But if it's a veteran event, go introduce yourself to your brothers and sisters. Because just because you didn't serve in combat doesn't mean you haven't experienced traumatic things.
And just because you didn't serve doesn't mean that you don't rate. I mean, just because you didn't deploy or whatever, or you just did 4 years, that you don't deserve your VA claims and benefits. He knows who I'm talking to. He's listening. It took me 20 years to get him plugged in, but it's crazy when I'm and it doesn't. It's I still hear it to this very day, dude. People, vets saying that. It's like, dog, you still fucking serve, dude. You had the balls, or the intestinal fortitude for for our females who served, that, hey, you're a veteran and you're one of ours, so you rate this, period. You know what I'm saying?
And you talked about it a little bit earlier during the introduction about the chemical exposure, toxic exposure. It's the CLP, right, that we use. It's a lot of the cleaning agents, that the solvent that was in the tanks. It's the carc paint that for the tanks and for the amphibious assault vehicles and for the light armored vehicles for the Marine Corps side. It's the fuel in the aircraft, right? You're taking a fuel sample and some of that gets on you, you breathe some of that in. It's the foam in the fire suppression systems. It's the halon in the tanks that pulls your stuff away. So, I mean, there's just so many things out there, running every single day, or for some MOSs once a week or once a month, but still it's a toll on your joints, your muscles, your ligaments, your cartilage, your discs. If you didn't have it before service and you had it after service, it's a service-connected injury. Whether they give you a 0% or 100%, 0% still means that they'll take care of you for that ailment. Go get a rating, or at least attempt to get a rating. Don't attempt it on yourself. Get a veteran service organization or a veteran service officer to help you, and find a reputable one. You do not have to pay money to get a good rating.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. And here's the other one, is the DEET that they soaked your cameras with before you deployed, so that you wouldn't get eaten by bugs, or the DEET, the shit that comes in the gray bottle that you put on your body,
greenish gray bottle that you have to rub on yourself. Yeah, that stuff's nasty.
And here's the other thing that I discovered reading articles, is that if you took doxycycline, malaria pills, any of that shit, which they were handing out in the Vietnam era, DOD already knew that the side effects that shit, it gave PTSD like symptoms and side effects to those service members. So think of all our brothers and sisters that might have committed suicide, might have done other, gotten in trouble because of those side effects and the shit that that we've taken, man.
Yeah,
And
and Angel made a comment here: the crap in the air in Iraq. Right? It's not just Iraq, right? So you look in Haiti, and there's trash all over the streets. There's feces, in the street. There's urine in the streets that's mixing in with all this, and it dries up and it gets in the air. Now you're breathing that in, right? Any second, third world country that doesn't have proper sanitation systems like that, even 29 Palms in the desert, the microbes that are in the sand, you're breathing it in. A sandstorm comes through when you're on base. You don't know what you don't know, and that's why I said get a VSO involved.
Yeah.
Find somebody that can help you through the minutia of the VA claims process, because it's a pain. I left the Marine Corps, so let me back up. I got blown up twice in Iraq. Once February 19th, 05, and then March 20th, 05. The March 20th one sent me home with a 1/3 open tibia fracture, multiple shrapnel wounds to my upper and lower left thigh, my right groin, 2 broken metacarpals in my left hand, a piece in my left forearm, a piece in my right hand, and a piece in my head that nobody can explain because I don't have any wounds above this point in my body. But I have a piece of shrapnel that's right here, and nobody can tell me how it got there. I left the Marine Corps at 70%. And as a result of being blown up, my internal organs were basically mush. Everything was gelled together. It took me from October 1, 2011, when I retired, until December of 2024 to go from 70% to 100%.
Yeah.
I went from 70 to 80. I went from 70, 80, doing it on my own and trying it on my own. And then I had to get my senator's office involved because the VA was dragging their feet. For Kentucky, our VA office is Louisville. So it's, 2 hours for me. So I can't check on my stuff. I mean, the system just says, oh, it's in process or it's sitting here.
Yeah.
But a young lady at my senator's office would walk over once a week, twice a week, and be like, where's Mr. Deeds' package? Where's it at in the process? And then she would let me know directly where it was. And then I ended up having more surgery. So I'm somewhere up around 46 surgeries now, I think, or procedures. And my wife kept pushing me to go and try to get an increase in rating. So I got a VSO involved and then got up to 90%. And I sat there for a while and I continued and kept getting pushed back. It's not service connected. It's not service related. I'm like, listen, I didn't have this before I got blown up. I didn't have this before I joined the service, but now I have it. And I'm not doing anything that's going to cause this. But because I didn't have the proof, right? We're all told, don't go to medical. Don't be a sick bay commando. Go to medical. Go get your stuff documented. Because if it's not documented, it's not going to work. The buddy letters work great. If you can get a doctor to say, yes, this is caused by your service, it's even better. Because now it's going from one doctor to another, and they'll transcribe it. The doctor at the VA wants to see certain verbiage. The rater that's rating your stuff wants to see certain verbiage. And if that verbiage isn't in your day-to-day speak, you're going to have to use it in order for that doctor to understand where you're at. Because they have their little chart that they go off of.
Right.
And they want to hear certain words. If they don't hear that certain word at 30%, you're only going to get 10. If they don't hear that certain word at 50%, you're only going to get 30. It's ridiculous on how they do it. And then now they're grouping, the TBI and post-traumatic stress, and it's TBI with post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic stress with TBI. Yes, some of the symptoms overlap, right? Some of them do this. Yeah, excuse me. I got some henna from Africa still. Some of them overlap, but they're each different diagnoses, and they should be treated as such.
Yeah.
It's just crazy the things that I've had to learn and put up with to help other people get started, period. Willis,
Right.
he'll talk to you about tomorrow. I want to kick him in the nuts because he's been out longer than me and he hadn't started his process until a year and a half, 2 years ago. You got to start somewhere, and it's never too late to start.
Yeah, no, and that's why, and you know, and by the way, if anybody needs help, I can help you through that language as well. You know, I'm not what I call a claim shark or anything of the sort. But Gunny, where can people? You know, we're kind of getting to that time frame.
Yeah.
But where can people find you on social media so they can reach out and know more about you? Because we're definitely going to have you back. By the way, holy shit. Can we just point out all the freaking coins you got in the background? God damn.
I will tell you, I probably have somewhere that's not all of them. I've got another 100 plus in another room. I've been very fortunate to be in a lot of places with the team, without the team, doing nonprofit stuff. And there's only 2 coins on this that's behind me or over here that I personally have bought. And it's my 2, right? Matter of fact, where's my finger? That coin right there and that one are the 2 coins I designed for myself. And of course I had to buy them because that's the only way you can get them. You know, I'm not sponsored by anything or anybody, but I have a lot of friends that travel the world and will pick up coins for me, or I'm speaking somewhere.
Yeah.
Like this one over here is from the commanding officer of the 160th. We do a thing for the Battle of Mogadishu every single year. But, you know, this one behind me is every single unit, ship, or training area that I had the honor of being part of and serving with, you know, 24 and 14 years. I don't think that's too bad. And then, you know, everything on this line, this one, actually from this line all the way up to here are coins that I've designed for people or organizations. And, you know, I've been honored to give a coin of every one that I've been able to design or help people with.
I can tell that this is not the first time you've gotten that question because you just walked me through it with your finger.
Well, yeah, so I'm looking. So these have changed a few times. So I'm just looking on the screen to see where everything's at. Matter of fact, this one right here is pretty special to me. It's the oh god, now I gotta look. The USPCA, so the United States Police Canine Association's regionals. There's a figure with a dog, so it's a handler and their dog. I could not find that photo anywhere, so that's me and my service dog on that coin for the regionals. So my service dog is on a coin, which is pretty cool. And the organization I did that with gave me a coin for her, and she carries it on her vest. So it's pretty neat.
Gunny, where can people reach out and find out more about you? And by the way, we're going to bring you back because, I mean, this is a pretty good fucking show. Alra.
Yeah, I mean, and like we haven't even started. I work with, I'm an advisor for a nonprofit, and we right now we're only doing Purple Heart recipients. And then the skydive team, we have our own nonprofit. But all my socials are Samuel Deeds, everything. It's probably a picture of me and my wife. I don't know. I don't look at it I don't look at my photo too often. I think on Instagram and X, there's 2 underscores. So it's Samuel __ Deeds. And I think on Facebook, it's just Samuel Deeds. And then, you know, HomeFrontSitrep.com. And you can go there and you can see, I don't know if Willis has updated it lately, but almost every single guest that we've had is bookmarked on the HomeFrontSitrep.com webpage.
Gunny, thanks so much for your service. Thanks so much for what you guys do. You truly have an amazing and very interesting story. So we'll definitely bring you back, brother. But hey, with that being said, Elrod, get some. We'll definitely we'll keep chatting it up, brother.
That works. Care. All right, thank you.
All right, brother. Well, hey, we had an amazing show. Gunny Deeds is quite the character and very interesting person. So we're definitely going to have my man back. Hey, huge shout out to everybody who turned in on TikTok, just playing with different things on social media, getting the word out. But like Gunny said, we need to be, we need to help each other out. We need to be that, like, form a net, that red, where we're all connected with one another, and getting, all of us excel together. We shouldn't be, because at times we do tend to be our own worst enemies. But listen, before I sign off, I always say that if you've been struggling with, your demons, you're going down the rabbit hole where and all the other things from the past are coming back, and you just can't seem to get yourself out. Let me be that last phone call. Let me be that last text. Let me help you off that ledge, because at the end of the day, we just can't be the ones, adding to that 22 a day statistics. So, reach out and do a buddy check too. Don't forget to check out on all your buddies if you haven't heard from them in a while. So, but I think this is a pretty cool place to index our field ops. So with that being said, everybody, thanks so much. Ice Tomas, Daisuke, Alra, get some, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.